so if you go onto Schoology and it says to go to this link, YouTube doesn't always open in Schoology, so what you do is you actually click the title once you're on the page. What's this? Math experience. I don't know what these things are. But let me just show you what I'm talking about on my stuff. Log in. Someone flip that light switch down for me, please. So it's loading.
Jeez.
Why something is loading there. All right. So, go to my page. Hey, anyone know who the picture is of other than me?
Looks like Michael Jackson. Another from Kiss.
Gene Simmons.
Is that from Kiss?
Yeah, it's me and Gene Simmons. So that's up there for it. So if you go under the notes and videos, so this will be like yesterday's. You go to the bottom, it turns into a link. If you click on the link, it doesn't always show up here. Okay? So if you click on the date, it'll take you out to YouTube and take you to the lesson. Sound all right? So as it tries to get there, but it'll get there. Cool? So just so you know that. Now, what is making what? Making 10
Kindergarten math? Why?
Why is it kindergarten math?
I have no idea.
Sure, if you're going backwards.
What?
You're going backwards.
Okay. One of these work. Cool. All right. So what was the homework last night? Oh, odds review too. Cool. Cool.
Hey, Mr. Stroh.
Hey, what?
I had a question.
Yes.
Like for Desmos,
Yes.
I'm trying to put in like some of the problems. How do you put in the ones that have like the
Absolute values?
yeah?
ABS. Just type in ABS and then it'll have open parentheses and it'll work for you.
There's also a thing that has absolute value on it.
There is, yeah, it's like under the computer keyboard thing. Yeah. So either way, it gets you there. I'm sending this no-namer home for a second time. We want to find a home. So if you happen to be the no-namer, put your name on it. Make sure I have your name with today's. Okay. And review 2, we said. And sky is the limit on graphing. Hey. All right. Review 2. What questions do you have? And I forgot, did I give you odds? Odds, cool. Questions?
You do 7.
7? All right, problem number 7. We have okay, classic problem. We want less than or equal to 0, so we're looking for where things are negative. So we have to kind of think about that this would have been a parabola of something where it's crossing here and here. And so where we're looking is we're looking for the negative region. So when we look on a sine line and create this on a sine line, I have to factor this. So this would factor to be x minus 6, x minus 2. Agree? And then on a sine line, it's going to happen at 2 and it's going to happen at 6. I have a solid dot at each. Those are my critical values. So let's apply this graph to figure out where the plus minus plus is. So where's my plus going to be on there? Where's my minus going to be?
Minus is going to be the middle.
Middle? Middle and then plus on either side? Yeah. Okay. So this wanted what? Smaller than 0 or greater than 0? Smaller. So we want negative because of this. All right. It has the equal sign, so I'm going to square brackets. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to go from 2 to 6, square bracket, done. Cool? What else did you see off the graphing review 2? Yeah. Number 5? All right. So number 5, I'm actually going to do on Desmos. Is that okay?
Yeah.
We'll go back and forth with it. All right, so you said that down here we have absolute value brackets.
Yeah, there's the see the A over by the tools.
Oh, there it is. Oh, very nice.
You just put type of stuff in and then press it again and you can exit.
No, I know.
Too cool. Glad you guys are so smart. All right. So that is, and I'll put it on projector mode so it looks a little thicker. Oh yeah. All right. So this particular question says, sketch the graph of each. So if you can do this on Desmos, you're good. Did everyone see where I got to the absolute value? So it's under the keyboard, and it'll find it. Or if you typed in -2 ABS and then open parentheses, they'll recognize that as well. So intercepts. I got that and that. There's my 2 intercepts. So -1 and -1 comma 0 and 3 comma 0. And then what else is asked for? Max. Here's a max. Now, shh. Be cautious on the max, because the max could be asked 2 different ways. You could say, hey, where does the max occur? It occurs at 1 comma 4. What is our max? Our max is just 4. So it could be asked 2 different ways. I'll probably accept both, so don't panic on too much on that. Is there an asymptote on this graph at all? No. Hey. Excellent. And then anything else that we could say? I guess we could say, hey, this is where it crosses the y-axis, because that's also there. So there's a couple of key features on this. Other things I would say about this graph, subtle hint, because I just wrote this question. What is happening? What is happening from -infinity to 1? It's increasing. So from -infinity to 1, it's increasing. What's happening from 1 to infinity? Decreasing. Okay? What does increasing and decreasing mean as far as these graphs? What's the most basic algebra 1 thing? What is an increasing graph? What do you know about increasing as far as slope? It's positive. Decreasing slope is negative. A slope of 0 is constant. A slope that's vertical is undefined. So those are things. So this would be on a question. I think there's 8 choices on this question, which 3 or 4 of them are correct. So you mark all that are correct. Okay? What else would you like to see off the worksheet? Do what?
Sorry.
Oh. Yeah. 11. All right.
Thank you. That's really cool. That takes back like 18.
I would love to have that.
Okay. So problem 11. Come on, my friends. Problem 11. Problem 11. That is not exactly how problem 11 is written on the book, is it? How is problem 11 written on the book? Or in your worksheet? I have the right side equals to the right side. I have absolute value of x minus 3 equals 8 minus x squared, right? So what letter am I not concerned about solving on this problem? I don't need y. Does that make sense? Don't get stuck there. So by me doing this way, I'm looking where our graph intersects. So I have an intersection there. So what is the answer I'm looking for on this problem? Yeah, negative 1.791. Don't list the y component. Why not? Guys, too many voices. And they're not the ones in my head these days. So why am I only looking for 1.791? There's only x values in the problem, but I chose to use Desmo, so I chose to graph it. I chose to graph each side. And then this is my other answer here. What answer do I write down for that? 2.791. So please be aware. My friends, I will tell you, I'm going to be sneaky on this one, and I'll tell you right here in advance. Thank you very much. On the test, that is Monday. On the test, that is Monday, my friends. I'm going to say click that are all correct. There's going to be 8 choices. You're going to have a choice of negative 1.791. You're going to have another choice of 4.791. You're going to have another choice of 2.791. You're going to have another choice of 0.29. And then you're going to have a choice of negative 1.791, comma 4.791. You're going to have another choice of 2.791 and 0.209. If you choose the ones that are points on this, because they're not points you're looking for, you're looking for x's only. What you got? Okay. None are here. So, does that make sense? Does that make sense? I don't want you to miss it, but I'm trying to lead you to understand where to use it. Other questions from the homework? Going once. Going twice. Names on it. Hey, did the no-namer find a place? Or is someone claiming it for their own? All right. Make sure your name's on it. Pass it on forward, please. Yay, Drew. Is this really yours? No.
I just did.
All right. So, okay. What'd I do? All right. Let's talk about the difference between the domain on each. Talk the difference about the domain on each. So without really graphing it, what's the smallest value I can plug in here that still gives me something that exists? Now we have to know that square root of 0 is equal to 0. So that's as small as we can go. So what's the smallest value that I can plug in? 2. So my domain on this problem goes from square bracket 2 to infinity. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Now, the reason I chose the other one like this is I have to recognize this is the difference of 2 squares. So, what does our domain do here? No bounce. Because it's under a radical sign.
Doesn't it go more like -2 and then negative or +2 to infinity?
Yeah. And it's actually, these would be square brackets. So, look at the difference in the domain. So, the domain on the top one kind of should be obvious. If you graph it, if you graph the top graph, this top graph just kind of looks like this. Looks like that. Here we have a starting point. The bottom graph gets real goofy. Okay? The bottom graph actually kind of looks like this. Okay? So notice in between, the graph doesn't exist. So that's why you have to list the domain as the in-between. You will see that type of scenario on the test as well. So please recognize where that takes place. How this problem could be modified is I could take the same problem but I don't have a y in there any longer. So greater than 0, we're looking for what? What kind of values? Positive. Okay? So my friends, can I allow x to equal 2 on this problem? I can indeed have the square root of 0, which is 0. But can x equal 2 on this problem? Why not? 0 is not greater than 0. So I can't use this. So what I'm going to do for my domain, I would have to say from rounded bracket 2 to infinity, that works for me. Okay? Now, let's trick this problem a little tiny bit. What if I had this? I just flipped the sign over. What's the answer? Oh. Why is it undefined? 0 can't equal 0, close. There. Yeah, so think about, if you think about what this graph looked like, it does this. Does that graph go below the x-axis? So, no real solution. Let's take it one step further. What if I had this? What's the answer there? Bracket 2. Anything else? Oh, you're right. You stick with the original. The answer to this is just 2. Why is that the only answer? Yeah, it's the only thing that equals 0. We're looking for less than or equal to 0. Well, less than doesn't exist because of the purple. But less than or equal to 0 does exist at one point, at one singleton point. If I plug 2 in, I get square root of 0, which is 0, because that's equal. So note the difference between all three scenarios. Okay, classic thing to look at. That would probably be a matching type of question. Okay, be a matching kind of question. Now, same thing here. Same thing here. We knew this, right? Greater than 0, so it's positive. So remember what this graph looks like. It does this and does this. So for positive, it's going to go from negative infinity as a domain to -2 and from 2 to infinity. But if I have this, exist or not, does that graph go below the x-axis? No. So no real solution here. But what happens with this graph if it what happens with this graph if I had what happens there? Yeah, so kind of weird as this, you'd have like individual brackets. You have 2 and then 2. 2 and -2 work. Okay, so there's your 2 answers. Now if you forget to put the brackets, that's fine. But just realize there's only 2 answers that exist here because they're equal to 0. Okay? All right. So last thing I want to talk about is going to be one of the questions on the test. So I'm going to it's going to be done on the Chromebooks, and I realize they are horrible, but hey, we'll do the best we can. So you would have access to the internet. So if I were to say, hey, we went to the rent-to-own place, and I already have a pre-select rent-to-own that I'm going to give you. But what I need you to do is I need you to argue for or against why rent-to-own was a bad idea. Now, first off, was there anything from this past Friday that I talked about with rent-to-owning furniture that was a positive?
Yeah, you got it right away.
Yeah, you got it right away. That works. Is there anything else other than you got it right away that would be helpful for you?
You can fake your death.
Fake your death and
keep all the stuff.
They're your friends.
Yeah, they are your friends.
They are your friends. Why are they your friends? Because you're spending money and making them richer. Okay, so what was one reason rent-to-own was really bad? Give me like a specific mathematical reason.
$16.
Go ahead.
You're going to be spending almost 3 times as much as if you would have just saved up and bought it.
Could spend up to 3 times as much unless you just saved up and bought it. Okay, what else? You what? What else was there? There was something that we were trying to help you out. We're trying to be your buddy and pal. What was it? Yeah.
Like the automatic deposit.
They had the automatic deposit, which is $1.50 per item per week. So they'll try and say, hey, we're going to save you time and money. And what's $1.50 a week? Or you can go away that line and pay for your fee. They're going to make the convenience fee for you to pay extra is to make them richer. But they make the convenience fee desirable because you look at the line and there's always going to be someone there who's going to like, can I write a check? And they're going to be searching for a pen for 45 minutes to write a check. Okay, it'll look pretty good because there'll be like 4 or 5 windows that you could go to, but I can assure you they have one window open, and they have the person who works in that one window who's missing an eye, missing 4 fingers, missing a leg. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that person, but a person that's working there is going to be like a slow processing person. I'm talking like Walmart checkout people are fast compared to what the rent-to-own cashiers would be. Okay? And if you've ever been to Walmart on Saturday, you might think the lady in front of you who has, toilet paper and Oreos, you're like, sweet, I'm going to be done. 45 minutes later, you're still like going, Walmart was beep. Did that come out right?
I'll show the look.
Did you like these? And you're like, no, would you just pay for it? So, I'm sorry if you are Walmart fans, I'm sorry, but I like to rip on them. I realize it's a really rich company, I get it. Realize the Walton family is the richest family in the United States, I get it. But, there is nothing convenient about Walmart other than things are inexpensive. I made the mistake one time, I got a flat. And I went and got a tire. It was the only place I could go. But then it was that or driving on a donut for another 600 miles. So I rolled the dice. So I got almost all the way home, and the tire I bought from Walmart got flat. And so I went back to Walmart saying I got the warranty. And the guy at the service store is going, I can't find your information. And it took for 2 hours for a $60 tire for a Honda Civic. Took 2 hours of my time arguing with the service writer going, here's my receipt from Indianapolis, Indiana, from Walmart. Yes, I see that, but unfortunately it's not in our system. And I'm just like, so Walmart creates this huge inconvenience. They're going to lure you saying, hey, we're great, but it's huge inconvenience. So, what else from rent to own was inconvenient? Yeah.
You had to deliver furniture.
Yeah, they deliver your furniture. They charge you $16 a step. That includes getting up off the curb. Gosh, so all these are great things that you can argue for or against this rent to own. I agree with Drew. I got my stuff right away. Got it right away. After I'm, $5,000 in paying for a TV that costs $600. That's just being sarcastic. All right. I was looking at this evening's assignment, and I'm trying to find what one would be goofy. And I'm looking at problem number 12 on tonight's homework.
3.
Yeah, it was I don't know why I didn't put page numbers at the bottom of this. That would have made it so much. Huh?
Number 12 looks super.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Shh. So, my friends, what is this nonsense of ln? Natural log. So some of you have been in those classes that had natural log in it, yes? So natural log function is, natural log stands for log base e of x. Okay, so log base e to the x is equal to the natural log of x. And some of you are like, what? And that's fine. But as long as you can find that on Desmos, you're going to do just fine. So we want to find the intersection. So I got y equals natural log of x. Get rid of this. And y equals, negative, help me, x minus 5. Quantity squared. Okay, so tricky question here. Why is it tricky? What letter am I solving for? X. Even though I use Desmos to do y equals, I only want x for an answer. So, what are my two answers? 3.2. There you go.
6.461.
So it's just the x component. We only care about the x component. And I kind of like that I got a purple line. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did right or wrong to get a purple line, but hey, I got a purple line. Okay? So that help you on that number? Ooh, I just put my paper down someplace. Did I put it back in my book? Yeah. So, and then number 14. All right, so for problem number 14, I'll just give you the guidance on it. So graph it. It's a parabola. This is the ground. And so you're just finding the x component for when it hits the ground. That tells you time in seconds. Okay? So, evens of graphing review 3. That's what I got for you.